there are many ways to apply labels and identification to landscape drawings. One mechanism that we offer in gCADPlus is to use the Smart Plant Label tool, and that's found on the gCADPlus drop-down menu and Smart Plant Label. Let's imagine we wanted to label the symbol that's in the top right of the site. This is a site in Norway, and we're suggesting that the Japanese maple will be planted in that spot. We click the symbol. The prompt then says, do we want a leader or just a line? We'll say leader, and let's indicate the first point of the label header, and then I'll pull away and click. We then pose the question, do we want to pick up the code for that symbol? I'll say yes. Do we want to pick up the botanical name? Not in this instance. Or I don't want the common name. Do I want to count how many of those symbols, that is how many of those species are going to be used? I'll say no. And the Smart Label tool labels that particular plant, and that's been used to label 4 different groups of plants in the top right corner of this design. You might, let's right click to finish, you might want to change the layout of that leader line, the way the leader is drawn. If we select the leader, it has a piece of text, a style, justification, center, and so on. But I'd point out landing distance. Let's change the landing distance to something like 250, and we hit enter, and you may have noticed that the small horizontal line now extends from the end of the leader line horizontally to the right, and the text labeling shifts. That's a preferred way. A lot of people like to label in that way, and what we've now done is to modify our MatchProperties tool. So having set that up in the way you want for one of the labels, you can just pick it and then click the other instances of the way you've used the Smart Label tool, and they all line up in an appropriate fashion with that small 200 unit landing distance. So gCADPlus 7.4 just improves slightly the ability to label in that way. The information, the code, comes from the associated GCP file. I use uppercase for my 4-letter acacia, poematum, and so on. I take the first 2 characters of the generic name and the first 2 characters of the species name in order to get a label, and I always use capital letters because that's a little easier for the construction team to read. But we could put the whole complete botanical or complete common name in there if we want it. That's one way of indicating. We have many others, of course, where you can do a plant schedule and recognize the particular species by the shape of the symbol. But many people like to label in the way that we've demonstrated here.